system should do, let us also understand the different attributes that make up this system. Laws may change, and so would your business rules. Also, newer states may demand for similar compliance reporting. The system must be flexible and scalable to accommodate these changes. The system must maintain history for trend analysis as well for audit purposes. The system must store data at the lowest level of granularity. Well, data can always be rolled up to the desired level of reporting, but capturing the data at the lowest level is very important. With so many states asking for reports at different points in time in a year, also the rules differ state to state, and so do the formats. It is important to design a system that maintains all these flavors. Accommodate corrections and amendments. Well, once reported, changes can always be made through a process of amendment. So the system should be able to accommodate all these corrections as well. System must also able to alert while approaching spend limits as a proactive measure. Apart from reporting, the system should finally and very importantly provide analytical capabilities too. In the analysis phase, we shall understand the landscape, basically the systems, the data, etc., to better design the aggregate spend solution. A lot of emphasis is given to the source system analysis to know where and how within the spend capture system does the spend data reside. Data governance, data profiling, data quality should be looked at to ensure clean and accurate data. Every spend capture system produces master data, which needs to be deduplicated across systems after agreeing on a common definition. MDM is the key aspect in any data management or business intelligence initiative. I will not be going too much into the technical details around MDM, operational, analytical, but the point I am trying to make is data conformance. MDM plays a big role in an aggregate spend solution. Let us quickly look at the next slide that gives you a pictorial view of what the landscape might look like. Here you see different spend capture systems, and the data we would need is extracted from each of these for our reporting and analysis. As you see, we may have interacted with the same recipient through different systems, but it is quite impossible. Impossible basically to find to match the recipients. It is possible that the recipient may have been entered with a slight variation in their names in these systems. Let me take an example. For example, if in an SFA system you have captured a recipient as Dr. Bill Jones, whereas in your ERP system maybe he is referred to as Dr. William Jones. Well, how is it possible to humanly identify the two recipients are actually one? Well, MDM as a solution will help identify these and deduplicate the master data. Third-party master data providers like IMS, Walter Stewart, and people like that possess the master list of all HCPs, HCOs along with their unique IDs that will help us deduplicate the master data. Finally, the data integration phase. This is where we start developing the actual code. It involves the extraction of relevant data from various source systems, transforming the data by applying validation rules and undergoing the MDM deduplication process, and loading the transformed data in a spend repository, which is designed for reporting and analytical purposes. Data that is not stored in systems and held in spreadsheets or data received from a third-party data provider may have to be fed into a spend repository directly. Also, the data has to be verified and corrected before it is reported. So what do you do in this case? Well, a system admin tool, which is the front-end application, must be developed to manage these manual interactions with the data and also for modifying or tuning the business rules. Let's take a look at the high-level solution architecture for a typical aggregate spend solution. To your left, you will have all the possible spend capture systems. This is relevant data extracted and stored in a temporary staging area where the data is cleansed, deduplicated using the MDM processes you see there in the middle. And finally, the data getting loaded in the data mart, which is nothing but the spend repository. As you can see, any reports, analysis, or a dashboard can be developed over this data that resides in the data mart. And obviously, you have the admin tool through which you control the business rules, corrections, and all the changes you make to the data mart. And then comes the reporting. Apart from the, talking about the reports, you would see there are several types of reports here: the state, the federal, the compliance, operational, and analytical reports that are possible. You may use your existing reporting infrastructure to build these reports, or things like you may have business objects, Cognos, or any of the reporting tools, or SAS as well for your analytical needs. Apart from the mandatory state disclosure reports listed here, what is more important is what are you doing with the data other than just reporting to the regulatory agencies. I mean, reporting is one aspect of it, but hey, there is a lot of analysis to be done on the data. Now that you have the data stored in your data mart, why not use it? There is a lot we can do. Different departments spend data on events, conferences, meals, hoping that the efforts will transpire into increased sales. Without a way to measure these, one cannot know if the spend was worth it. Trends over a period of time can be used to monitor the spend and raise flags if non-compliant. Another example that I will quote is comparison of actual versus budgeted versus forecast, if any. This again helps you to track the trend, and we can proactively control the spend. Well, there are other analysis scenarios also listed here that can be used. Now let's turn to what the aggregate spend itself as a solution would look like in terms of the project timelines. As you see from our past experience in a couple of implementations that we have had, typically this solution takes about 30 weeks for a mid-size to a large pharma company. And if you see the layout here, the schedule itself, the planning analysis as well as the design take the majority of the effort upfront, because unless you plan and design it well, your eventual product is not going to meet your needs. You will also see a lot of testing being done here. Yeah, testing is very crucial to ensure that the data being reported is accurate as per the business rules. And just to make sure, you may also want to consider a parallel manual versus automated run before doing away with your current manual reporting. So you might see that the implementation, which usually in any other software implementation takes maybe a maximum of weeks, here we are saying a good 3 weeks, because you may need that parallel run to clear out the links. Well, this was the project schedule. Now that we have an understanding of all the 4 phases in an aggregate spend solution and what the timeline looks like, let's quickly look back at the challenges that you need to look for. I will not go through each bullet point that I have listed here, but shall touch upon the top ones. The top one that I can think of is obviously the first one itself, the ownership and accountability. It takes more than one department to deliver these goods, right? Without a well-defined RACI, roles and responsibilities, that's what I meant, and a buy-in from the executive level, the program is bound to fall apart. Yeah, you definitely need that ownership and accountability, even to get started with the project first. Then the second point that I would like to mention is the data governance and MDM. These are the next challenging tasks that you will have to take up, and these will be really major. These take significant effort in ensuring that the company speaks the same language and have a common understanding of terms. Well, and there are a few more challenges that I have listed here, and you could go through the presentation at a later point in time. For now, I would like to hand over the presentation back to Harnath to give his thoughts on the key takeaways, after which we shall be ready to take your questions.
Thanks, Ashish. So to quickly highlight some key takeaways, if you will, from this session, one important thing is aggregate spend is here to stay.